vegetation. We really focus on defensible space around the home, that first 100 feet, but also around the roadway too. Another aspect of the ready phase is hardening the home, and really what that means is making your home more resilient to wildfire.
That's going to be putting the fine-grained mesh around the vents of your home so that embers won't get under your house or into the eaves of your house. That's going to be using non-combustible materials on your deck and around your home. So when an ember storm comes through, it's not going to ignite your home itself.
I currently live here in Grass Valley with my parents. All of us have sleep apnea, so we all have CPAP machines that require power in order to run.
I also use a nebulizer, and that's used to disperse medication that I need to get myself breathing again. When we have safety shutoffs, we have to hook up our equipment to batteries that have inverters.
We have a generator that powers some of the things around the house, but then I obtained a pretty substantial battery from Freed, and it was so easy to go through the process to obtain a battery that I would recommend it to anyone who might have medical needs that require power, or really anything. I would highly recommend contacting Freed.
So whether it's a snowstorm or a public safety power shutoff, we really want folks to be thinking about, okay, what are the things I'll need on hand to weather the storm? Do I need to have candles? Do I need to have battery-powered radio? Do I need to have flashlights? So what are the things that you'll need to shelter in place or address the disaster at hand?
So a go bag could be anything. It could be a backpack, it could be a suitcase. It's going to be something that you put together to sustain yourself, your family, your pets if needed. That's going to have food, water, medication, clothing, toiletries to get you by for 72 hours. You need to think of your go bag as the only resource you may have. Stores may be closed, the power may be out, so you may have to literally live out of this thing for a 3-day period as an evacuee.
If you are someone with a disability, maybe you have a chronic health condition. For me, I have type 1 diabetes, I have an insulin pump, right? And so that's a critical piece that I need to plan for if I'm gonna ever evacuate or be away from my house, frankly, for any amount of time, right? What we find often is that if people don't evacuate with their CPAP machine, with their oxygen concentrator, with their wheelchair, walker, then it can be difficult on the other end.
My name's Ulysses Palencia. I work in the 211 call center. I'm just a resident of Grass Valley. I have 2 daughters, a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old. In Nevada County, 211 is available 24/7. So what we provide for the community is information. That could be anything from directions to the resource centers. It can be letting them know where the fire is, you know, if they are themselves in an evacuation center, if it's a fire, if there's any information as to whether their power's coming back on during a PSPS. 211 gets the information that we provide directly from the county, so directly from the Office of Emergency Services. The whole team cares. We're all local community members. We all just want to help.
So we were all sleeping in bed on Thursday, November 8th in Paradise. And first the house phone rang. Picked up my phone. It was my sister who lived a block or so away from us.
We were woken by a telephone call from my daughter. She said that we were being evacuated.
I left sooner than them. I had everything ready. They were on the way out the door.
There was not time to think about what you're going to take, what you're not going to take.
The night before the fire, I knew it was a red flag warning, and I knew that it was a high risk. So on my way home, I filled up the tank.
On our way out, we didn't get too far from the house, and we're watching fire coming down the hill.
There was a machine shop right to my right there. and it had gas tanks and propane tanks. And I saw a lone ember kind of floating through, dancing.
Good afternoon, everybody. Ready for a planning commission meeting? All right, let's call this to order then. It's been a while, right? So we do the pledge first or the roll call first?
Pledge first.
Pledge first, all right. Would you mind leading us in the pledge? Sure. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, now roll call? Okay.
Commissioner French? Commissioner Foley?
Present.
Commissioner McAteer?
Here.
Commissioner Garst? Here. Chair Millman?
Present.
Thank you.
Okay, at this time, it is time for public comment. If anybody here would like to address the commission on any items that are not on today's agenda, this would be the time. You'll have 3 minutes. And go ahead and step up to the microphone there. Okay, seeing no one interested in public comment for the moment, we'll close that and move on to commission business. Do we have anything today? Okay, nothing on that today either, which moves us to consent items.
I'll move adoption of the consent agenda.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Can you take roll for us, or call?
Commissioner French? Commissioner Foley?
Aye.
Commissioner McAteer?
Aye.
Commissioner Garst?
Aye.
Chair Millman?
Aye.
Thank you.
All right. That brings us to the first of today's 2 public hearings. And who's doing the presentation today?
I am Chair Millman, Mr. Rubal.
Excellent. Take it away.
Hi. So good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for being here today. My name is Zachary Rubal, and I'm an associate planner with the Nevada County Planning Department and the project planner for the Cook Development Permit and Steep Slopes Management Project in front of the commissioners here today. So the project parcels are located at 13837 and 13881 Park Court, approximately 0.2 miles south of the Nevada County Airport in unincorporated western Nevada County. The project parcels are approximately 3.5 and 4.1 acres in size, and both of the project parcels are accessed via Park Court from Charles Drive. The project parcels were originally delineated in 1999 pursuant to the English Mountain Park Phase 2 final map that was recorded in Book 8 of subdivisions at page 71 and are shown on the screen on the figure to the right as lots 3 and 4. So the project parcels have both remained undeveloped with no permanent structures, while there does appear that there has been some grading activities in the past which have provided flattened areas on both of the project parcels which are being utilized as a part of this project. So the project parcels are both zoned light industrial with the Site Performance Combining District, or M1SP, and they have an industrial, or IND, general plan designation. And both parcels are surrounded by industrial development to the west, north, and east, and with residential development downslope to the south of the subject parcels and overall project area. The project parcels are bordered by 5 parcels zoned M1SP as well to the north, east, and west, and there are 5 parcels zoned residential agricultural with the minimum parcel size of 3 acres to the south. All 5 of the parcels directly surrounding the project parcels to the north, east, and west have been developed with commercial and industrial uses, while the 5 parcels to the south have all been developed with residential, rural, and accessory uses and structures. So one of the components of the proposed project is the development permit. And so the first aspect of the development permit is the construction of a new approximately 12,000 square foot warehouse building for furniture, cabinets, and decorative steel development and manufacturing on APN 006-920-015. So 20% of this new warehouse building will be used for light industrial manufacturing for the fabrication of the metal cabinets, the furniture, and the decorative steel development. And the remaining 80% of the new warehouse building will be used for the storage of these completed manufactured items. So on the adjacent parcel, that's where the contractor's equipment storage yard is proposed, which is APN 006-920-016. The contractor's equipment storage yard will consist solely of a gravel area for the storage of commercial vehicles and is screened by existing vegetation and steep slopes. The second component of the project is a steep slopes management plan. So a steep slopes management plan is required for the proposed grading in the areas where slopes are greater than 30%. So grading activities in these areas exceeding 30% are only for a very small portion of concrete for an ADA pathway and for an infiltration trench for drainage, and therefore the overall impact would be very minimal. The Steep Slopes Management Plan itself was completed by Brian McAllister with Sierra Land Solutions Incorporated, and that Steep Slopes Management Plan provided best management practices as well as mitigation measures for any construction activities within the slopes that exceed 30%, which have been included in the draft mitigated negative declaration as mitigation measures. All future work would be required to be compliant with the Nevada County grading standards or the California Building Code, requiring erosion control measures as needed to ensure that activities do not result in substantial erosion. So now getting into the building design. So the building design details include that the proposed structure would be constructed with pre-engineered charcoal-colored metal panels with a polyvinylidene fluoride finishing and pre-engineered galvalume-colored metal panels with a PVDF finishing for the roof as well. The structure would also include 28 windows with aluminum frames that would be painted in a dark bronze, and 5 pre-engineered steel overhead doors that will be painted charcoal with that same PVDF finishing as well. The trim, the 3 entrance doors, the gutters, and all the downspouts will all be painted charcoal with that same PVDF finishing as well, and the perimeter of the structure will have 10 exterior lighting fixtures that are all shielded and downward facing. The proposed landscaping and screening includes a new proposed 6-foot-tall solid fence along the southern property line, and then 35 medium-sized shrubs and 24 large shrubs along the proposed fencing of the southern property line. 9 additional screening shrubs to the north of the previously mentioned shrubs and fencing for additional screening on the higher sloped area are proposed as well. 455 square feet of interior parking lot landscaping is proposed, and that includes existing oak trees to retain the natural vegetation as desired in the code. Existing oak trees along Park Court and Charles Drive provide native vegetation to serve in lieu of a new buffer yard landscaping, and the contractor's equipment storage yard is screened by existing native vegetation and steep slopes from surrounding parcels and roadways. The landscaping plan was prepared by Karen Kaufman, and both the landscaping plan and the screening have been deemed to be compliant with sections 12.04111 screening and section 12.04107 landscaping of the Nevada County Code. So as mentioned a little bit earlier, there is exterior lighting proposed as a part of the project. The project proposes 10 total D-Series size 1 LED wall luminaire exterior lighting fixtures on the exterior of the building. All of these fixtures will be shielded and downward facing and mounted to the walls ranging from 10 to 20 feet high. The submitted photometric plan and the exterior lighting specifications provided, which are shown in the figure to the right, demonstrate compliance with section 12.04108 lighting of the Nevada County Code. So both the industrial warehousing and industrial manufacturing / fabricating uses were utilized for determining the applicable parking requirements. A total of 8 parking spaces are required, with at least one of those spaces being an accessible parking space or ADA compliant. The proposed project does include 8 total parking spaces, with one of those spaces being an accessible van parking space. And additionally, the project also includes 2 bicycle racks that hold 2 bicycles each for a total of 4. 15% of open space is required, and the proposed project includes an average of approximately 28% of permanent open space across both project parcels. And as you can see on the site covers statistics figure to the right, on Lot 3, there's about 30.5% of permanent open space, and on Lot 4, there's about 26.3% open space, and so we did the average of those, and that's where that 28% roughly came from. So thus demonstrating that the project is compliant with both the parking section and the permanent open space section of the Nevada County Code. As noted in the Nevada County General Plan Policies 9.12a through 9.12h, there are various adjustments to the county's noise limits which are to be applied if certain conditions are satisfied. The policies most applicable to this project are Policy 9.1.2b, which states where two different zoning districts abut, the standard applicable to the lower or more restrictive district plus 5 decibels shall apply, and 9.1.2d, which states that if the measured ambient level exceeds that of the permitted, then the allowable noise exposure standard shall be set at 5 decibels above the ambient. The project application did include an environmental noise assessment that was prepared by Don Ballard with the Ballard Acoustical Consultants Incorporated. And as a part of this noise assessment, it was concluded that all 3 of the noise-producing components of the proposed project would be compliant with the noise section of the Nevada County Code. The nearest residence that could be considered as sensitive in regard to noise is approximately 275 feet away from the project site area, and the distance from the residence will allow for noise generated by the proposed structure and project to dissipate, and with the metal fabrication being conducted within a completely enclosed structure as well, that would as well limit the sound exposure. And additionally, mitigation measure 13A is recommended to limit construction work hours of operation between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. Monday through Saturday. The land use element of the Nevada County General Plan states that the industrial land use designation is intended to provide for areas in which goods are produced, distributed, warehoused, along with supporting business and service uses. The general plan designation of both project parcels is industrial, and the zoning of both parcels, as mentioned earlier, is light industrial with the site performance combining district. Both of these are allowed uses within this zoning and general plan designation area with the approval of a development permit. So after review of all the project documents, it was determined that the proposed project meets the site development standards and comprehensive site development standards as identified in the Nevada County Code. And the surrounding land uses or lands are primarily light industrial in nature and include warehousing, distribution, service, and public uses, which further demonstrate compliance. So the proposed project is within the airport compatibility land use area as well as the Loma Rica Drive Industrial Area Plan. So the Nevada County Transportation Commission, the Nevada County Airport Land Use Commission, the Nevada County Airport Manager, and the Air Resources Control Board all reviewed the proposed project, and each agency determined that the proposed project is compliant with the Nevada County Airport Land Use Compatibility Plan and would not have any adverse impacts related to the creation of safety hazards for people residing or working in the project area. The project parcels are located within the Loma Rica Industrial Area, where the county has adopted the Loma Rica Drive Industrial Area Plan. This area plan establishes a set of design guidelines that are meant to refine and enhance the Western Nevada County design guidelines. The proposed project includes both industrial and commercial uses and building designs that are mostly compliant with the goals of the Loma Rica Drive Industrial Area Plan. A condition of approval has been included that is recommending to require awnings above the windows in order to ensure compliance with Loma Rica Drive Industrial Area Plan Design Guideline number 11. So the Planning Department prepared a draft initial study and a proposed mitigated negative declaration for the proposed project. And the initial study was available for a public review period of 42 days instead of the 30 due to there was a noticing issue that was done with the notice of availability. And so therefore we extended the overall review date, so giving people an additional 12 days actually to provide any comments or ask any questions, which is 30 days is standard. So we did go above and beyond that. So based on the technical information submitted with this application, review of the pertinent policy and regulatory documents in consultation with appropriate local, state, and federal agencies, All of the potential impacts that were identified have been mitigated below levels of significance. There were 3 public comment letters that were received. 2 letters that were received were concerned with potential noise and fire hazards, and 1 letter was related to solely the nomenclature on the public noticing, zoning, and vicinity map. So, as mentioned, the areas of concern from these other 2 letters were noise and fire hazards, and all concerns have been adequately addressed through mitigation measures and conditions of approval as discussed in the staff report. Therefore, staff recommends that the Planning Commission take the following actions 1 through 3 as shown on the screen. That concludes my presentation, and if you have any questions, please feel free to let me know.
Thank you. Is the applicant here today?
Yes, Chair Millman.
Do they have a statement or anything to add to your presentation? Make sure you've got a microphone on. And I'm sorry, could you please state your name?
My name's Eric Cook.
Thank you.
The canopies over the windows, I would like to see that waived. I know it's a recommendation on a requirement. The architectural portion of the building wouldn't justify having that many overhang canopies over the windows, and I think it would be much more presentable the way we have it designed now. And then the other item, I did have my noise study redone so that we could go from 7 to 10, and it falls within all the parameters of the requirements of the county for that process.
So you're looking to go from closing not just at 7 p.m., but 10 p.m. Is that correct? Is that what I'm interpreting?
Correct. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Are there elevations that show where you've requested the awnings?
Yes, Chair Millman. Let me grab that for you. So in all the proposed windows, we are requesting awnings above all the windows shown here on the screen.
Do you have
get it.
They're not on there. They've
the
asked
design guideline number 11 from the Loma Rica Design Standards? Can you read that for us? Sorry, I didn't look it up previously.
Yeah, absolutely, Commissioner Garst.
Thank you.
And while he's finding that, if you look at the windows, they're so, the elevation is raised so high that if we were to put the awnings over those windows, it would be tucked up underneath the gutters, which would cause for a,
I noticed that as well, and one of the comments that I had written down when I was reviewing this was the idea of requiring awnings over the overhead doors instead of the windows, which is why I was looking for the guidelines to see if that would be something that would be compliant. There are four doors rather than 28 windows, and for, water infiltration seems like a more reasonable place
Right.
to locate them.
or maybe we could look at the man doors. The overhead doors, the roll-up doors would be a little difficult, just because they'd be so big and it might be a structural issue for snow loads. But the overhead doors would be a convenience for customers coming and going without having to get wet while they're waiting to open the door.
Hi, Commissioner Garson. I have Design Guideline 11 on the screen, and I'll read it for you. For project sites visible from Loma Rica Drive and Greenhorn Road, minimize the visual impact of large buildings with the proper use of windows, structural bays, roof overhangs, awnings, and other details.
Thank you. Yeah, I think, can you pull the elevations up again? I think that to me, the garage doors, the overhead doors would have a more visual impact given their size. And also there's one located on each elevation. So therefore every side of the building would have this element that would help to break it up, which seems like it would be in meeting those design guidelines. So that would be my comment or my recommendation on that.
While you have the microphone, do you have any other questions?
Sure, I had a couple of other questions. Going back to the noise study, the sound study, I was wondering why HVAC and exhaust equipment was not included in those calculations. I imagine that a woodworking shop, metal fabrication shop would have pretty extensive exhaust systems included within it, which exit to the exterior of the building. Also, HVAC, general equipment that's typically located on the exterior of a building. It's to whoever has the answer.
So most of the exhaust that is contained inside of a welding fab shop is these are scrubbers that are inside the building. They're not blowing just, exhaust out the building, and any of those would be inside. So the noise would be very minimal, no more than an air conditioning unit or a swamp cooler on a house.
Okay. Yeah, those are usually still included in calculations, is my understanding. Projects I've worked on in the past, like HVAC, or mini splits even, heat pumps are typically calculated for commercial. I didn't see any mechanical plans included in this set, though they are listed on the index of drawings.
Yeah, there's just the Title 24.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Commissioner. Thank you for your patience. So as a part of the conclusion of the noise study, it was concluded that those three, that the actual metal fabrication, the truck reverse warning systems, and the on-site traffic, they determined that those would be the three most noise-producing, components of the whole project. And so they evaluated those three ones specifically because those ones would have the most impact, and therefore, when they did the analysis, those were the three sole ones that were analyzed, because as long as those ones would meet the noise standards, then the other ones would as well, because of those ones were determined to be the largest producing noise components.
Okay, great. Thank you very much for that.
Can you just tell me those three items again that you had three things, the HVAC system, what are the other two?
Yes, Commissioner McAteer. So it was the actual metal fabrication, so the work being conducted for the actual creation. The truck reverse warning systems for traffic type deal, and then on-site traffic as well.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and then I only had one other comment, and I was wondering, the site around the building looks too small for a fire truck turnaround. I didn't see one indicated on the site plan, and the driveway or the road leading from Charles Drive, I believe, to the building was over 400 feet, which would typically require a turnaround. Wondering why that was not included.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner Garst. So as a part of the proposed project, a truck turning radius diagram was submitted, and it was reviewed both by Public Works and our Nevada County Fire Marshal, and they determined that it was adequate.
Okay. That's all I have. Thank you.
Commissioner McAteer?
So let's go back to the canopy for a minute, since, so Joe, you're suggesting that there should be a canopy over these large doors, is that correct?
Well, my thought was that to the owner or the applicant's point, the windows are so high.
I agree.
That doesn't seem to make sense. I think it would be confusing aesthetic decision. So I think putting awnings over man doors and or overhead doors seems like an easier / more appropriate requirement.
I understand the regular entrance doors. I certainly concur on that. I'm just not sure how an awning would
I think
affect
yeah.
the use of that door in terms of will it detract from being able to bring equipment in, et cetera, et cetera? Does it drop down below?
If they're over, they would be over, my understanding, they'd probably be over the top of the doors. And I think that the intention is for aesthetics more so than anything, and because when it's such a large building, you want to break up.
I understand that.
Yeah.
So does that
I think
mean
having like
it's-
a 2-foot reveal awning, hanging, something that you see at like a commercial building typically.
And is it canvas? Is it metal? What
I
is
think
it?
typically it would be a metal awning.
Is that what
Usually
you're
like
looking at? Sorry.
I think it's kind of up to the applicant. How they-
Any type of awning, I don't think we specified the material, but we could be more specific, and then, yeah, we definitely would want the commission's direction over where the awning location and the materials would be. If
Okay.
we're not going to put them over the windows, that's fine.
I don't have any specific, I have like, as an architect, I have my idea of what I would do, but I don't feel strongly that it's one specific thing or another. But I think that as a visual impact, that would feel more in line with the design intent, the design guidelines, than in these 3 small man door locations only, I think is my concern. Yeah.
So my next question, excuse me, sir, go ahead.
If I could, real quick, if we were, forklifts do go into this building, and you've all seen buildings been hit by forklifts. It would definitely be a hazard to the building and to personnel to have something hanging out over those roll-up doors. And there's a lot of applications that, just on Charles Drive alone and Loma Rica, that these windows are not covered with any kind of overhang. The new ZAP building, for instance, has got the same look, and that's kind of where we got that idea from.
Yeah.
And they have none of their big roll-up doors for their equipment to go in and out have these overhangs.
Okay, so while you're there, I'd like to go to my second question, which is about moving your times that you're interested in, if you can lower the decibels to be able to move from 7 to 10 p.m. Are you currently or using that long of a work day?
No, that would be mostly, we wouldn't take any deliveries after, normal working hours, but that's mostly to be inside and either, doing setup for prep work. We're very conscientious about the public. I've lived here my whole life. And last thing I want to do is have an upset neighbor who would come up and say, hey, I can't sleep because you're doing something here. You got a backup alarm going every 5 minutes. So that's not our intentions. Our intentions are just to make sure that we can continue being productive with the company, with the business, after 7 o'clock with no disturbance.
So what does, Brian, help us out on this? Because, if I have my business and it's 7 o'clock and I'm still working there, that's okay. What's the intent behind this?
Well, the intent is definitely to accommodate for noise impacts, and so I don't know how specific the activities were outlined as far as what would occur after 7 p.m. Our noise standards change after 7 p.m. They're lower. The concern I have is that we're just hearing about this information today, and the circulated mitigated negative declaration includes the noise study that analyzed the impacts from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And so adding those additional 3 hours is not covered in the notice and the circulated mitigated negative declaration. So to some degree, we would need to reanalyze that, incorporate that into the environmental analysis and the project description, and it would be difficult to do today. There's a potential that if the commission were to move forward with the project today as conditioned, that we could do potentially an amendment at a staff level administratively, assuming that the noise study identified that it would not be above the noise standards. And so we would do that administratively, potentially find it in substantial compliance with the circulated mitigated negative declaration, and issue the revision through an administrative process. Otherwise, the commission may need to continue the item so we can take that analysis into consideration and bring it back.
Perfect. Great. Thank you. You
So-
have something to say? Yes, sir.
Yes, I did have the noise report redone. I do have a copy with it, and it shows that we are in compliant with exactly what we have planned on doing all the way till 10 o'clock. So I do have that available if you would like to see it.
So it sounds like the best avenue for you actually is to go through the administrative route than to go through the commission route, which is going to be a longer process. That's as I understood it.
So go ahead and get approval and then ask for that afterwards.
Bingo.
That sounds fine with me.
And I'd like to talk about solar. Tell me what the requirements are relative to an industrial building and solar and all. Is there any in this county?
Thank you, Commissioner McAteer. So from a planning perspective, in the Loma Rica Industrial Area Plan, in part of the design guidelines, they do reference that it's recommended. However, it does not state that it's required as a part of like approval for this project. And so since it was not proposed and it's not required, it wasn't analyzed or asked for to be included as a part. If it was required, we would have asked them for it, but since it's recommended, it's not something that we can ask them to put on the plans as a requirement.
Okay. And do you have any thoughts on that? Yes.
Yeah, I had the building engineered for the extra loads for solar panels. Our intentions are to put solar panels.
Okay. Those are my questions. Thank you.
Commissioner French, do you have any questions?
So where are we at on the awnings? Put your. There we go. Where are we at on the awnings?
Well, to sort of synopsize, I think Commissioner Garst is looking for awnings over to not put them on the little windows, but to put them over the big doors and the little doors.
Okay. Little doors I get. Sounds like the applicant's not real keen on having it over the roll-up doors. Okay. How important are the awnings? Are they just, do they have any function, or they're just architectural?
Commissioner French and Commissioners, they're basically strictly aesthetic. So there are guidelines in the Loma Rica area plan. So really, it's kind of your commission's full discretion if you want to require awnings over some doors, not the doors. It's really up to you because the guidelines are really for aesthetic purposes. And so if you feel the building is adequate as is, that's within your purview, or you can add some additional architectural treatments.
Say that again.
From my, looking at where we're putting this building, it's not something that's going to be visible from Charles Drive. I don't think we can get a clear view from Charles Drive to the building. There's another building in the way, and there's trees in the way. So I don't think it's going to be an aesthetic thing for us at all. I think for one, if we put them over the roll-up doors, I think that's a hazard. That's going to be quite a load for snow, and it's going to require some more engineering. And I don't care who you are and how good of a forklift driver you are, you're going to forget that 3 foot sticking out there, and you're going to drive that mass into it every day.
This would be from the neighboring parcel.
Okay, thank you.
I mean, as far as the hazard is concerned, I mean, nothing can go through those doors that are taller than the doors. So if the awnings were above the top of the doors, it seems like unlikely that something would run into them, because if they were, they would run into the header of the overhead door first. I think maybe to come to some sort of compromise, I could imagine requiring them only on the north and west sides of the building, as those are the sides that are theoretically visible from Charles Drive or other neighboring parcels. I can see the case for excluding them from the south and the east. So in that case, it would be 2 doors, 2 overhead doors and 2 3-man doors. And the awnings could be designed in such a way that the structural loads could, I think that there's some latitude as to what that looks like to minimize structural impacts. But I think that the design, I believe design guidelines are there for reasons, and I'm inclined to do something. But that's my 2 cents.
Did you have any other questions?
No, that sounds like great compromise, and yeah, I would be all for that.
Commissioner Foley, did you have any questions?
Well, like everyone else, the thing that kind of popped out to my mind when reading through all this was the awning thing. In my mind, I wasn't looking at it necessarily through an aesthetic or design, but to me, it seemed like an arbitrary cost to put on someone doing new construction. Not only that, but also started a new business. If it's purely for aesthetics, I would be supportive of reducing those guideline standards to actually what makes sense. I think the man doors make sense. I mean, awnings are used to protect people coming in and out from the weather. So I think I would be supportive of reducing those guidelines to the minimum standards to ease the burden on the applicant. And I would also say that I would defer to the applicant's expertise of what will or won't be a hazard going through a roll-up door. That's kind of my 2 cents on it. So it sounds like there's some kind of compromise everyone's willing to work on. I would just, urge everyone to keep in mind what makes the most logical sense and keep the applicant's budget in mind as well.
So there was a slide up earlier that said that it was somewhat consistent or generally consistent or something with goals in the design.
Correct, Chair Millman. I can put that slide back up if you'd like.
Yes, please. And then more specifically, what were you referencing? Is that really all about the awnings, or is there some other thought that it was included in this statement?
So one of the other design guidelines is that it is recommended that the windows, instead of being, more horizontal than vertical, they want them to be more vertical than they would be horizontal, whereas in this case, it's the opposite. And so, so there was that one, and then also the awning one. And so we kind of discussed, and as a department, we decided that if we could, get some sort of compliance with one of them, then we would be happy with that, or we could ask for that. So we'd be okay with the windows if, as they were proposed, going more horizontal than vertical, as with the awnings type deal.
Is there anything in the guidelines that has anything about articulation of buildings or anything like that that also has been kind of set aside for this building?
Can you, it's adjusting the height or the massing, put up the guidelines maybe?
No, so it was compliant with all of the other guidelines that were there.
Okay, so aesthetically, we're really looking at a compromise on the windows in response, and in order to, and having awnings instead of changing the windows, correct?
That's correct, Chair Millman.
Okay. I've actually built a ton of buildings like this, and lots of them have awnings over the top, and it's true that your forklift, they do get in the way of your forklift. Generally what you'll see is they're much higher than the doors in order to, or they are quite short. So I would say that I would say that there's kind of truth on all sides at this point, that you can definitely put an awning over that, and your whoever it is that's driving both your truck to back up or the forklift to place the materials needs to be aware of it. I actually like the compromise solution that you've put forward, where the 2 elevations that are visible from the street would have the awnings and leave the others I'm wondering if that is acceptable to the rest of my commissioners?
Is that over all the windows on that, on
No,
those sides?
no.
Just the doors?
The big doors and the little doors.
Okay.
So that would be the north and the west, is that the two facades that would be showing? And so over the man doors and the dock doors on those, the pedestrian doors and dock doors.
That'd be my inclination, yeah.
Another question that I had was on the slopes. Are those slopes currently, do they have vegetation on them?
Thank you, Chair Millman. For the most part, yes, those slopes. I can go back to the aerial imagery if you'd like. You can see, so where the sloped area is, it really is where that tree line is, all the way to the southeast. So that's where a lot of that sloped area is, and then even to the southwest portion as well, where there is a little bit of the clearing of the trees, that area is also sloped as well, which is the reason why the solid fencing and the additional landscaping is being proposed to help with the screening there as well.
Okay, but there's really no real, yeah, it's clearly vegetated. It's not going to erode once the, okay.
Correct.
Thank you. Those are all of my questions. Did any of my fellow commissioners have any other questions?
I think we still need to take comments from the public.
Well, I wanted to make sure we were done. But thank you.
I'm good.
All right, so at this point, we can open this up for public comment on this project. Yeah, if you want to go ahead and come to it, you'll have, if you can state your name and where you live, and then you'll have 3 minutes for your comment.
Yeah, my name is George Marks. I live at 13974 Glen Pines Road. I'm pretty sure that I'm the guy who's 275 feet down slope. There's a ditch, an NID ditch right at the edge of my property, and then you go up a slope, and we're going to come to that. My question is, we've been there 25 years. Right to the, I guess, west of it, I'm not sure, maybe east of the proposed building, there is another set of buildings, and I'm sure they had that 5 decibel setback as well. Unfortunately, most of the days we hear a buzz coming from that. We've gone up many times and asked them about that. They say it's the exhaust. They turn it off for a while, and then there's a buzz all day long. I don't know what 5 decibels means. I don't know how loud that's going to be for me, but I worry about that. Another thing I worry about is the lights. I know there's going to be pointed down, but I can see directly up there. Those lights, I assume, are going to be on all night long. I'm not sure. Another question is, now that you're going to be open until 10 o'clock, trucks going in and out with the backup noise, is that going to go until 10 o'clock as well? Because that will be very noisy. So could you give me an idea of what 5 decibels means?
So I can't give you an exact of what 5 decibels means, but for example, pursuant to this, the environmental noise assessment, a decibel level of 15 decibels would equate to a pin falling and hitting the ground. So 5 is going to be less than that.
Okay, that sounds good. What is my, do I have any recourse when it isn't a pin dropping and there's a buzz all day long, or there's metal being cut, or there's trucks backing up until 10 o'clock at night? What kind of recourse do I have to complain about that?
Definitely ask your question, but this public comment is very specifically set up rather than a back and forth conversation. You kind of tell us what your questions are and what your concerns might be, and then you sit down, and then somebody will at some point kind of respond to all of those.
Well, I'll narrow it down. My concern is trucks backing up until 10 o'clock at night. Bad enough until 7 o'clock at night, but until 10, I don't know. I grew up in New York City, so I'm used to the noise, but I live in Grass Valley in this house for 25 years, and my entire 9 houses on my road would like it to be as quiet and dark as possible. and the other concern is the fabrication. Anyway, if 5 decibels is, if they're going to be dropping pins on the ground, I can live with that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else that had public comment? Okay, seeing no one, I'm going to close the public comment on this particular project. And if staff had some additional information regarding what we just heard?
Yes, Chair Millman. So the additional information that was provided was just letting Mr. Marks know that he asked about what 5 decibels, about what that would be, and pursuant to the environmental noise assessment done by Don Ballard with Ballard's Acoustical, about 15 decibels equates to a pin dropping on the ground, and so a 5 decibel would be even less than that, and so it's a very minimal noise difference.
Commissioners, if I can add to that. So again, we haven't analyzed the impacts from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. So what's before you is the 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. If there is an amendment, then we'll analyze those impacts based on what sounds like an amendment or a new noise analysis. And in order to approve that administratively, it would need to be within those parameters outlined by the code. And then to answer his question regarding if there's noise complaints, potentially could file a complaint with our code compliance, and then we would follow up with some noise reading equipment to ensure that it's within the time frame. So there is a code enforcement component if there is obvious exceedance of noise levels that are approved with the project.
Can you also discuss his other concern about the lights? Do the lights go off at 10 o'clock, or are they on all 24 hours?
So I apologize, Commissioner McAteer. I don't know the answer to that question, how long they would be on, but I was assumed that it would be during hours of operation only. Oh, perfect. If the applicant has anything additional to add regarding that, that'd be great.
So the lights would be a motion sensor after dark. So that, don't think they'd be on unless someone's walking around up there.
Great, thank you very much.
Okay, commissioners, do you have any other questions?
I do. So is there a case where you have certain guidelines, for example, in this case, from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., and they maybe reduced guidelines from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m., where they couldn't take deliveries or something like that?
Thank you, Commissioner French. Yes, that's correct. So between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m., there is a specific standard, and I know the maximum is 71 decibels. With that adjustment, typically it's around 75. From going from 7 p.m. to 7 p.m. to 10 p.m., it does change that noise standard. That maximum and the ambient would be dropped, and so we would have to analyze what the new updated environmental noise assessment says basically against our noise standards to ensure compliance with that new lower decibel level.
Got it, thank you.
Okay, commissioners, I believe this is in your district?
Yes, it is. So if you could put the recommendations up there, that'd be great, thank you. So I'm going to recommend these actions here with the caveat that we approve Joe's compromise of the awnings above entrance doors and above the roll-up doors, I'll call them, on those two sides.
Just for clarification, is that the north and the west elevation?
Correct.
Correct.
Okay,
And
so-
then what we are looking at also is 7 to 7, correct?
Right. We're not, that administrative issue is between the applicant and the department. So therefore, I'll move that, number one, after reviewing and considering the proposed mitigated negative declaration, adopt the proposed mitigated negative declaration and mitigated monitoring and reporting plan, making findings A through C as shown in the staff report. And where should I include the awnings?
Commissioner McIntyre, on the action number 3. So when
Okay,
you say
great. So-
Conditions of approval as revised.
Thank you very much. So that's my motion on item number 1.
I second.
How do you vote? Commissioner French?
Aye.
Commissioner Foley?
Aye.
Commissioner McAteer?
Aye.
Commissioner Garst?
Aye.
Chair Millman?
Aye.
Thank you.
And on item 2, we approve the proposed steep slopes management plan prepared by Brian McAllister with Sierra Land Solutions, Inc., subject to the conditions of approval shown in attachment 1, making findings A through F pursuant to Title 12, Chapter 4, Section 12.04.213 of the Nevada County Code as shown in the staff report.
I second.
Your vote, Commissioner French?
Aye.
Commissioner Foley?
Aye.
Commissioner McAteer?
Aye.
Commissioner Garst?
Aye.
Chair Millman?
Aye.
Thank you.
And finally, I approve the proposed development permit DVP 24-3, subject to the attached conditions of approval shown in attachment 1, making findings A through L pursuant to Title 12, Chapter 5, Section 12.05.052 of the Nevada County Code as shown in the staff report with the amendment added regarding awnings.
I second.
Your vote, Commissioner French?
Aye.
Commissioner Foley?
Aye.
Commissioner McAteer?
Aye.
Commissioner Garst?
Aye.
And Chair Millman?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck to you, sir.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Just for the record, there's a 10-day appeal period on that decision.
For the record, there's a 10-day appeal period. Okay, this moves us to our second item or second project today. Who will be presenting that for staff?
David Nicholas, Associate Planner, and just give him 20 seconds to set up, please.
Of course.
Hello, Planning Commissioners. My name is David Nicholas, and I'm Associate Planner here for Nevada County. The project before you today is the Shaw Map and Use Permit Amendment. This project is an application for an amendment to the Villaggio di Vigneto subdivision map and comprehensive master plan to remove the restrictions that currently limit Parcel E to be used only for a fire station or a fire department administrative building. Essentially, what this would do is relabel Parcel E into Lot 50, and then Lot 50 would be able to be developed with residential uses in alignment with the R1 zoning district of this area. So to provide a little context of where this parcel is located on Country Heights Drive, which is off of Mooney Flat Road, west of Lake Wildwood. The Villaggio di Vigneto subdivision is zoned R1 PDX, which is single-family plan development with no potential for further subdivision, and the surrounding area of that subdivision is zoned general agricultural. The general agricultural area is mostly developed with like dispersed rural residential uses, and most of that subdivision is currently undeveloped, but there's some infrastructure in there like roads, but a lot of the lots are still vacant. So now to provide a little bit of background, the Planning Commission approved the tentative final map for 49 lots, and also a use permit for a comprehensive master plan in 2004. Both the use permit and the map had notes on there restricting Parcel E to only be used for fire department uses. But even though there were those restrictions that Parcel E would be used for a fire department parcel, the Penn Valley Fire Protection District did not accept the offer of dedication and never entered into an agreement with the developer. Then on June 27, 2024, Penn Valley Fire quit claimed any interest it had to that offer of dedication parcel. Furthermore, during the review of this project, it was routed out to Penn Valley Fire for review, and Penn Valley stated that they have no comment on this proposed project to remove the notes restricting it to fire department use. Now we can talk a little bit about the consistency of this project with the zoning ordinance and the general plan. All these requirements would apply to residential lots. The conversion of parcel E into lot 50 would not exceed the maximum zoning allowed by the zoning district. Lot 50 would meet the minimum parcel size of an R1 zone district due to the minimum parcel size being 10,000 square feet and this lot being 1.97 acres. Lots in R1 zone districts are required to have 60 feet of road frontage, and lot 50 would have 500 feet of road frontage, meeting those road frontage requirements. Any future development of lot 50 would be evaluated for compliance with the Nevada County Code during the building permit review process. And in addition to lot 50 being subject to all the zoning ordinance requirements, it would also be held to the conditions of approval and mitigation measures associated with the original project that was approved in 2004. Essentially, lot 50 would just be treated like the rest of the 49 lots of that subdivision. Moving on to environmental review through CEQA, the original project included an initial study which resulted in a mitigated negative declaration. The mitigated negative declaration also looked at the impacts of the fire station on Lot E. A fire station would typically be a more intense environmental use than a residential lot in an R1 zoning district, and therefore it's anticipated that removing the map note would result in a less severe and intense environmental impact than was already analyzed. And as a result, the original environmental document fulfills the environmental review requirements of the current project, and preparation of a new EIR or M&D is not necessary because the project meets the conditions of CEQA Guidelines Section 15162. After the staff report was released, staff did receive a comment from a member of the public that was expressing concerns about removing the possibility of future firefighting resources by removing the map note. However, as discussed in the staff report and discussed in this presentation, the removal of the map note doesn't remove the possibility of future firefighting resources over current conditions. The restriction on parcel E is proposed to be removed because the Penn Valley Fire Protection District does not plan to build a fire station on that parcel anymore. Like I mentioned, although the parcel was offered for dedication, Penn Valley quit-claimed any interest they had, and this proposed project was routed to Penn Valley and they had no comment on it. So therefore, staff recommendations are as follows. Find the original project mitigated negative declaration is adequate review for this project, and after reviewing and considering the proposed map amendment, approve the amended map, and finally, approve the proposed amendment to an approved permit. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you for your time.
Do any commissioners have any follow-up questions?
I had a couple of questions. I just want, as a general clarification, there's a couple of places where it mentions that the Penn Valley Fire Department sold the parcel. Can you clarify if they sold it or if it was quit-claimed or if those are interchangeable?
Thank you for the question, Commissioner Garst. There was a line in the staff report where I used the term sold, but that was an incorrect word. I should have used quit-claim. The Penn Valley Fire District never entered into an agreement or accepted the offer of dedication and never held any interest on the lot. So even though they quit-claimed it, they never really had any interest in the first place. So quit-claimed is a more appropriate word than sold.
So therefore, the property remains under the developer ownership?
Yes, Commissioner McAteer, that's correct.
Thank you.
My other question was that I wish they had given some sort of like either blessing or rejection of this, because no comment feels like a little leaves it up to us, I guess. I was wondering if the fire station that's down the street at the Lake Wildwood entrance was that built after this property was subdivided? Do you know? that answer?
I don't know for sure, but I believe that fire station was there before, predates it, because I think that fire station has been there earlier than 2004.
Okay. Yeah, they seem really close to each other, so I feel like I understand this. The other question I had was, by designating this site as a future fire station location, were there other exceptions that the applicant was given latitude on, such as the exception to driveway standards? Was that taken into consideration in providing additional leeway?
That's not mentioned in the staff report of the original final map, and the original mitigated negative declaration doesn't rely on the construction of a fire department there to reduce any fire hazards. Additionally, that could have also been developed with a fire department administrative building, which wouldn't directly offer firefighting resources.
Okay, that's all I had.
Any other questions?
I mean, I would just say, the more opportunities we have for housing and development, the better. And if Penn Valley Fire has no issue with this, then it seems like this proposal is fine.
It is in your district, so if you would like the...
Sorry, Commissioner, can we just open public hearing?
Sorry, guys. Okay, at this point, we will open public hearing at this, on this proposal. I don't see anyone going anywhere, so we will close the public hearing on this and move forward.
Is the applicant here? Yeah, okay. No, I just wondered.
So I'd like to make a motion to approve the following recommendations. First, to find that the original project mitigated negative declaration, EIS 03-108, is adequate environmental review for the approval of this project, PLN 25-0085, AAM 25-0004, AAP 25-0004, and therefore further environmental review is not required pursuant to Section 15162 of the California Environmental Quality Act, making finding A.
Second.
I think they're all together, aren't they?
We do need three separate actions.
Okay. Yep. Sorry.
Your vote, Commissioner French?
Aye.
Commissioner Foley?
Aye.
Commissioner McAteer?
Aye.
Commissioner Garst?
Aye.
Chair Millman?
Aye.
Thank you.
I also move that after reviewing and considering the proposed amended map application, AAM 25-0004, approve the amended map, subject to the recording of an amended map or certificate of correction for parcel E, now lot 50, as recorded in Book 8 of subdivisions at page 140, pursuant to the conditions of approval shown in attachment 1, making findings A through F pursuant to Title 13, Chapter 2, Section 13-02-170 of the Nevada County Code.
Well, second.
Your vote, Commissioner French?
Aye.
Commissioner Foley?
Aye.
Commissioner McAteer?
Aye.
Commissioner Garst?
Aye.
Chair Millman?
Aye.
Thank you.
And I move to approve the proposed amendment to an approved permit, AAP 25-0004, subject to the attached conditions of approval shown in attachment 1, or as may be modified at the public hearing, making findings A through L pursuant to sections 12.05.060.g and 12.05.052.c of the Nevada County Code. Tongue twister.
I second.
Your vote, Commissioner French?
Aye.
Commissioner Foley?
Aye.
Commissioner McAteer?
Aye.
Commissioner Garst?
Aye.
And Chair Millman?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, this concludes the public hearings for today.
Chair Millman, just for the record, there is a 10-day appeal period.
Pardon?
There is a 10-day appeal period for the record.
Oh, that's so pesky. Okay, there is a 10-day appeal period for that. And now we are concluding our public hearing portion of this meeting. Do we have any meetings scheduled coming up?
Commissioners, yeah, I just wanted to give you a couple updates, including potential upcoming meetings. One, just wanted to let everyone know that Tyler Barrington, our principal planner, was promoted to our housing director, and so he's been over there about a month, so he won't be attending our hearings anymore. He's been here for 20 years, but received a well-deserved promotion, and will be working on the housing side of the house, and so we'll be recruiting for a new principal planner. So we wish him well on that. As far as upcoming meetings, we don't have anything firmly scheduled, but we are looking at potentially an October hearing for the alternative RV housing ordinance that you may have read about, heard about in the paper. We did have a public hearing or a public workshop on Tuesday. There is a draft ordinance circulating for public comment until September 22nd. We have a couple of MAC meetings, the Municipal Advisory Committee meetings in Penn Valley on the 23rd and the South County MAC on the 15th, where we'll be presenting the information of what's contained in that ordinance, receiving public input and public feedback, and then bringing that ordinance to your commission for recommendations to the Board of Supervisors. The board, we would like to try to get to the board by the end of this calendar year, so that's why we're targeting the October dates, and we'll let you know as soon as we can what that date would be. It would be either October 9th or October 23rd, I believe, or the second and third Thursdays of next month. We also will be bringing to you a cell tower ordinance. We've been working on amending our cell tower regulations since our regulations are 25 years old from the 2000 zoning ordinance update. And so David is working on revisions to that ordinance. That will probably be coming later in the year, more like November or so after the alternative housing, because that one is a little bit more of a priority, the RV housing ordinance. Also wanted to give a little bit of just kind of a brief overview and update regarding some changes in CEQA law. Mr. McAteer we had chatted briefly about some of the changes that may have gone into effect in 2025 and earlier. I can take a couple minutes to do that now, or if you want to take care of other business, but I can give you a quick update right now. A couple of, one is Assembly Bill 130 and one is Senate Bill 131 that have made some modifications to the CEQA requirements. And CEQA is very broad, overarching, covers a lot of different issues. So some of the headlines were like total CEQA reform, big changes to CEQA. Not necessarily the case unless the project or the issue that you're talking about was one of the very specific issues that was covered under one of those bills. The first being related to housing projects. As we all know, housing is continuing to be more and more difficult. CEQA is often used as kind of a delay tactic or a challenge tactic to subdivision projects. Unfortunately, to some degree, a lot of the changes in the CEQA law related to housing are more geared toward urban infill type development and areas that are outside of high fire hazard areas and very high fire hazard areas. Our county is about 90% high fire hazard or very high fire hazard area. There was an exemption for 5 acres or less if it's an infill project to be exempt. That limitation was raised to 20 acres. So you could have a fairly large subdivision, but it would have to still meet certain criteria in order to be exempt from CEQA. So they increased the exemption for infill urbanized housing projects. And there's a couple of criteria. Usually it's in unincorporated area, or those areas that are outside of high and very high fire hazard areas. And in the county, we don't have very many, if any, real areas that are designated as urbanized. They're potentially, depending on the site, around the cities within the sphere of influence, maybe in the middle of Penn Valley or Higgins area, we could potentially meet the definition of urbanized. Urbanized is, from a CEQA standpoint, an area that is developed on all 4 sides of the site, and usually is an area that contains 50,000 people or more. And that's an area, not necessarily a county, so it's kind of difficult for the county to identify an area as urbanized and qualify for some of these more increasing exemptions that have been identified by the governor and the legislation. There is, related to housing, our housing element is coming due again in 2027, and there were some added exemptions for rezoning that our county may need to do to meet our regional housing need allocation, our RHNA numbers. We need to demonstrate that we have available property for high-density housing to accommodate a certain number of units. And we did this about 10 years ago in 2015. We rezoned a number of sites, completed a full EIR, took a couple of years, spent $500,000 because we didn't have those exemptions in place. Those exemptions may help the county streamline that process to rezone some property in order to meet our RHNA numbers. We'll need to look into that a little bit more deeply to make sure that we may be able to qualify, but that could be something that would at least allow the county to meet our RHNA allocation numbers in a more timely and less costly manner than we did last time. And then some non-residential type projects that have received some streamlining or exemptions from CEQA, which could apply if we receive these types of projects in the county, are daycare centers, advanced manufacturing, and that's usually related to like, like semiconductors, like high-tech type of battery, semiconductor type of projects. Again, maybe not too likely for that. That's probably more of a Tesla factory or another larger computer manufacturing factory. But we do have on the list small forest treatments, farm worker housing, broadband projects. So those are the types of projects we would potentially see that could take advantage of some CEQA exemptions, climate plans, and we are working on a climate action plan, public parks, non-motorized trails, small water and wastewater projects, and then probably unlikely, but shops for high-speed rail stations. I don't know if we'll see too many high-speed rail stations, but it is on the list. So kind of the way that I've seen the CEQA reform and changes have been kind of very targeted and surgical, depending on a specific housing type, a specific use, as I kind of mentioned with some of those identified land uses, and not an overall sweeping reform that would either reduce or lessen CEQA requirements. It still does mandate jurisdictions take into account sensitive resources. You know, our oak trees, our steep slopes, our water courses are still something that require some level of CEQA analysis along with traffic impacts, unless it meets some specific criteria that are getting a little bit more broad, but are still fairly narrow and targeted to, again, not surprising, a lot of the legislation is kind of geared toward San Francisco, LA, higher urban areas, and lesser so for more rural communities. So that's kind of a brief overview. Happy to provide more information as it comes
Brian.
available or answer any questions.
Sorry, just for clarification, have these bills been signed into law, or are they still in the legislature?
These have been signed into law and were effective in 2025.
Okay, and there's more still moving through the legislative process, correct?
I don't have those. There always is. I'm sure there's refinements and additional carve-outs for different types of projects. I didn't research the current ones that are all on the floor and being considered. I tried to cover the ones that went into effect this year, but I can look into that further.
Great, thanks.
May I ask a quick question? So, first of all, as I've noted to you, I won't be here during October, so that is what it is. I'm traveling, so I'll miss that. But I do appreciate the cell tower potentially coming in November. That would be appreciated. I have some interest in that. I'm interested in the East Bennett Industrial Park. Where are we? I see it says status complete. Does that come soon? Hi.
Hi. Can I just ask you a quick question?
Sure.
Did I totally miss something about the development agreement for Ananda Village? I thought it was going to be...
It was a consent item, and it just moved, and it's done.
So last time I was here, again, this is new for me because I'm new in this role,
Sure.
but last time I was here with Peter Gehring, that I was actually mentioned, and there was like a moment where does anyone have any public opinion or comment or anything? It just, if it's not brought up, I can just leave.
So I'll let Brian answer how he puts the agenda together.
Might defer to council just on procedure, but I believe we've passed that point in the agenda, and I don't know that we can go back.
That's correct. We've passed that point in the agenda. The time to speak to that would have been if there were any objections to the consent agenda.
All good. Great.
All good.
Thank you.
Sure.
It was fun.
Okay.
Good exposure.
Thanks for coming.
That? Okay. Commissioner McAteer.
Yeah.
We don't have any recent movement on that East Bennett
Okay.
Street project.
Okay, because it says complete here, and so I was wondering, like, does that mean it's moving again?
Okay. That might be a typo. I
Okay.
don't think it's complete at this time. Sorry.
Okay, now, my last question is, the Penn Valley Community Center, they're trying to pull this off. Do they get any break in terms of fees from the planning department because it's a nonprofit, community-based operation, or none?
No, not in the fee structure. However, the county is working on a $500,000 grant to help fund some of the studies that were done and then some of the infrastructure improvements. So they're working kind of through other county channels to receive some funding.
Great, thank you very much. And to my fellow commissioners, I'm sorry I won't be here at your RV ordinance, or whatever it's called these days, but... Yeah,
Sure you
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I specifically decided the vacation would occur then.
We'll wait until November.
That's all I had, commissioners, but happy to answer any other questions.
Anything else? Does this conclude our meeting?
It does. Looking for a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.